Hi everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to another edition of Global News. I'm SJS Rana, your favorite host, reporting live from my hometown, Chandigarh, SAS Nagar, which is 150 miles north of New Delhi. This address is 1493 Phase 3B2 Mohali. So we're going to report a lot of new news which is making headlines and some of other interesting areas where you're going to find how things are shaping up for upcoming events. Even we're going to talk COVID-19 post-pandemic scenarios where we're going to see quick phase of recovery around the globe. So first, let's focus back on big item, which is basically still making a lot of headlines, is India COVID-19 disaster. And this has been going on with a lot of issues around the globe. Even recently, we found Australia PM Scott Morrison facing some sort of backlash from Indian community, especially having high connection with senators, even India government pushing the agenda behind the scenes to put pressure on Australia PM for imposing a lockdown against India and restricting even Indian travelers back to Australia. So this has been a news, and apart from that, why and how I'm going to narrate, I'm going to go deeper into it. But also we got to see how global WHO, World Health Organization, is reacting to ongoing pandemic crisis, which has raised again, red flag, basically warning of a new wave in Africa as the cases are rising in Africa. Also, India is reporting 414K. Yes, it's a surprising number, 414K of new cases for May 6, 24 hours ending May 7th. So this is a big worry for the world. WHO is not just raising red flag for no good reason. Obviously, this is the reason why all other nations are closing borders with India, and specifically Australia facing the heat because it made this bill also, or passed a bill in 2015, which is known as Biosecurity Act, under which it can review and reassess, it can jail, it can, put a lot of pressures on people who are going to violate the pandemic laws. So under that law, we saw Australia, PM and other designatories from Australia made a big move by restricting even Australians entering the Australia because of the Biosecurity Act. Yes, this act was enacted in 2015 by Australia Parliament, where they have tried to safeguard citizens and livestock life and people of Australia. So why this is a big debate, I still don't understand, whereas it's just a temporary phase. Even Scott Morrison, PM of Australia, today announced that it's going to end by May 15. See folks, it's a temporary phase, and nations do take some steps which are known as bizarre steps, but it's only for interest of greater good, I don't know why people are having such hue and cry of just small minor issue for 10 or 15 days. So this seems to be a lobby from Indian government. Obviously, India's stooges are behind the scene. They try try to create this drama. This is their global influence, folks. When you have strength in numbers like 1.4 billion population and spread across other continents, other nations, this is the havoc they can create in the nations by rattling the parliaments, the Senate houses for no good reason, because the agenda is driven by basically the government. It's a government tussle. Because India government wants maximum citizens of India to be distributed in all nations so it can have a good coverage and leverage in all the nations. See, US has 17.5 billion Indian Americans, one of the highest immigrants factors in US, and see how they are able to control US Senate. This is the agenda of India government. It's been working for last 20 years. Basically, it says strength in numbers, and that's why it led explosion of India population to 1.4 billion. Comparing it with China as neighboring nation, whereas China is 3 times size of India. People don't get this fact. I don't know what's the problem, whether they don't understand geography or they don't understand the simple mathematics. It's 1.4 billion population in 1/3 of a size compared to original size 1.4 billion. That's the comparison. So now a pandemic disaster has revealed how it's going to impact people. See, the dense population areas like India, where virus is out of control, is also impacting the neighboring nations. Now you see Nepal, this is the graph of Nepal and India, where India is obviously higher, much higher, but it's also rattling the small population, 15-14 million population of Nepal. It's a small nation, very contained, well-behaved nation. And it's a very, very indigenous people nation, very brave people nation, Nepal. It's also rattled by India viruses, mutants, especially B.1.617. So now jumping back, this is a very renowned professor of New Jersey, US, who recently succumbed to COVID-19. He lost his life, and his wife was too much saddened by the news because he's a very celebrated professor. So again, on May 5th, I reported all these major issues, on my even WordPress site. This is my site, onewordpress.wordpress.com. And I've been updating that this disaster is not a small thing. It's a very big issue going around. I get lots of feedback, likes from world over, across the nation, across the people. They reacting to my Yahoo mails, which is sjsrana@yahoo.com. I keep updating the world every global hits, the news which are of great concern. So now this is something which has to be taken care of. You cannot ignore COVID-19. You cannot ignore upcoming pandemics. This may not be the last pandemic also, folks. I want to let you know, look at the bigger picture. So right now, if we can't contain the small pandemic of COVID-19, what if tomorrow there is a super contagion? A pathogen which is, let's say, 10 times, 20 times more lethal than COVID-19. See, I give you one example. Just lately in 2015, 16, starting from 13, there was an outbreak of Ebola, okay? Now, Ebola was a very restricted virus because immediately the nations swung into action and contained Ebola. Now, Ebola didn't go beyond Africa, even it entered US through the traveling open borders, but it was contained immediately because Obama at that time and CDC warned that this is quite lethal. See, Ebola is having mortality rate of above 90%. COVID-19 is nowhere near. It's not even 60% of mortality rate. It's much, much less. So imagine Ebola, EBOV. If it can hit economic of the world, the crisis of the world to such a high level, this COVID is just a small introduction of pathogens which can wreak havoc towards the life or the global economy. You're seeing how things are changing global economy. India is already denting its own economy. It originally predicted 12% plus of GDP. Now it's nowhere even 10%. Now recently they said 10, but I have originally predicted for since last 2020 that India GDP is not more than 8%, folks. It's a single digit 8%, pathetic. Now I don't know how come India is able to still keep its market upbeat. Even recently today, for the last 5 days, you see the graph, they're just climbing up as if there is no tomorrow. So on the heels of maybe pandemic, perhaps they are proportional to pandemic, or India finances or this nifty market, stock markets are basically jubilant on stocks of hospital because more people hospitalized, more revenues generated. Perhaps that's the mentality mindset of India economics. I don't know why the markets are so jubilant in India. It should be down at least 10% to 20% correction. That's my understanding. So perhaps this is some input, maybe due to the QE, because yesterday quantitative easing FY 2022 was introduced by Federal Bank of India, known as RBI, which basically infused almost 1.8 billion US dollars to the economic of India, basically pumping the banks, with liquid money. Where they're going to do, again, one basic problem is inflation. You see the oil prices all-time high. So this is what's going to happen, folks. I've been updating this on my Facebook, that how economy is going to be doomed for India because the crisis is not contained by India. India is totally underperformed. It's a disaster, and India government is squarely responsible because it could not even provide basic amenities to the hospitals, like the logistics for oxygen supply. People are scanting and scrambling for oxygen cylinders. People are lining up even for vaccination. You see the vaccination they announced on May 1st for 18 plus, and they don't even have vaccines. States like Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, many other states have shut down vaccination drive because they said, hey, don't have vaccination from the center or the federal. This is the state and the apathy of India government, where it can't even produce or provide vaccination in time. It was 6 or 5 months at least down the line on wave first, when everybody was hitting. Still it can't have that thing managed. Now let's quickly jump on to the other main topic, which has hit basically the India godmen sexual assaults, because this recent news came up from one of the popular godmen of India, known as Asaram. He is still popular and famous. He is serving his jail term for raping conviction of a 17-year-old minor girl, sexual assault. So this problem has been ongoing with India godmen, the imposters. They basically display their spiritual power for wrong purpose. They do get spiritual power doing some meditation, some penance. It's possible, anybody can do it, folks. It's not a big deal. But what you get is spiritual power known as siddhi in India tradition. And that power can reveal anything to you. Like, you can read minds of the people. Knowing the minds of the people, you can know what they're thinking, what they want. So this is the tactics deployed commonly by India imposter godmen, who try to sexually enslave females, minor girls especially. They attack females and they make them enslaved for their lifetime. These are some of the cases which I'm reading out or you're seeing on the screen. Compare it with Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha was also born in India. I'm just giving you one example, okay? Where at all Lord Buddha, having known as it's the blissful state, having knowledge of self-realization, ever manifested such things? He had renunciation. Once you become a god man, you have renunciation towards the materialistic aspect of the life because you're enjoying the spiritual bliss internally. But look at India god men, they are the most fearsome sexual predators. The moment they get some spiritual power, they know they can read the minds of the people through spiritual power. They are eventually going to sexually enslave females. That's the end result, folks. Never trust India godmen just on upfront. You have to test them 10 or 8 times before you trust them, because you will end up finding they're raping females. So this is where we find this man, which is 80 years old, found raping 17 years old girl. Can you imagine? 80 years old man. That's why India folks are fed up. India females are fed up, with these godmen culture and the other sexual predators. So many of them, I can't even narrate on this small forum how many godmen are accused of raping, sexually assaulting females. So this trend has been ongoing with everyone, even army men, people who are deployed in security personnel, even in government officials, because every 15 minutes, India contributes a raping of female to the world community. Yes, folks, every 15 minutes, India sexual predators are contributing to world community, raping a female, sexually assaulting a female. Now they quickly jump with a big number. They say, oh, it's nothing compared to 1.4 billion population of India. Folks, I ask one question to all of you. Where is that number with China? China is also having 1.4 billion population. It doesn't have the counts of 15 minutes raping a female or sexually assaulting a female. But India, somehow stooges, are very good at manipulating and massaging the data. I keep telling you, don't trust people of India just like that. My personal experience with India people staying here for more than 10 years after returning from US is every 8 out of 10 India population is downright corrupt. morally, ethically bankrupt, and liars. Yes, I say it openly, they're pathological liars. You cannot trust India people just like that. Only 20% of them are trustworthy. Rest are just pathological liars. Anybody, I'm not having gender diversification here. I've seen both of them. They're good at lying, manipulating the facts, hiding, concealing the truth, obfuscating the truth. They are very good at that. And that's what you see with India government too. They break the agreements. If it's WTO, they're the first one who will break the agreements. If it's with NATO alliance, like STA1 clearance, COMCASA, or other agreements, they break it. So don't trust them. That's my simple advice to you. Never trust them, what they say. Just go and validate. That's the only way you can start having some reason for that, whether you should go with a deal or not, before you get befooled. So that's my general statement, and this is my personal opinion, but you will see how good it is once you start implementing it. And all these sexual assaults are just evident enough example that India females are also fed up because of the false and fake promises India males make. They stalk females openly. They have a big collaboration with these sexual predators population. They have small minor associations everywhere which are sexual predators association, and they just do one thing the whole day. 24 hours, India's sexual predators, a huge number, has only one duty to do, is to prey on females, to prey on girls, how to entrap them, how to enslave them. They stalk them openly. So these news are just regular casual news every day. Minor girls being raped, gang raped by these people. And 666 plus million females of India, you will never see them protesting. You may be laughing, why didn't they protest if they see so much of crime or sexual assaults? Because they have become used to it. Most of them are already enslaved by the sexual predators. In their home, they find someone or the other who is part and parcel of the big association. So they are all quiet. How do they get the daring power of protesting? Even you see in Mexico, you see in Australia, you see in UK, females protest for a single incident. But in India, it's a usual affair. They say it's very casual, take it easy. Females over here, I've seen it, take it easy, nothing to worry. Now, we're going to look at how people's life get impacted by getting associated with simple predators, sexual predators. Look at this pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, who made a news recently after he alleged suicide in jail in New York. See, Bill Gates was having some association. Maybe his foundation, because he visited the islands, it's known that he visited Jeffrey Epstein pedophile island. It's called pedophile island, by the way, folks. Now, impacting his life, see now what results of, I call it karma results, that now he has to face divorce also. So, long-time partner, his wife, I think they have been married more than 30 plus years, to my understanding 40 years maybe. I may be wrong here, but 30 plus years. Now they're parting of their ways, But one of the news where I could dig in, like why could it happen, is because the malefic karma. They come back and it's like a boomerang back. They boomerang back on you. So it's known that, Melinda Gates was also upset and uncomfortable when they both, because she was asked to visit with him, the Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey Epstein was a beast, also known as, top-notch predator and sexual predator, and he was also found to be enslaving many minor girls. It's very, very, very disturbing fact that how, in US, specifically surprising, in US, you could get away from prosecutors or from the US judges, still get a decent life and still keep continuing the lifestyle of predating on minor girls, because he was quite famous for predating on minor girls. Many minor girls were lured to his pedophile island, where they were enslaved and trapped, and they were sexually assaulted like animals. So this is such a disgusting act. Now even his close associate, known as girlfriend of Epstein, which is Ghislaine Maxwell, is facing prison term and facing quite big charges. So this is the divorce we're talking about with Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. It's basically one of the biggest split, you call it financially, it's one of the biggest. it's disheartening to note how they're splitting. I mean, I'm not happy about to read this news, but this is just making news of because it's a big split, and money involved. I think 2.5 billion handout will be given to Melinda Gates, and obviously she has a family to raise, she has other things, and because himself, Bill Gates is quite rich. I think the total combined assets is exceeding $100 billion. But $2.5 billion will be handed out to Melinda Gates, and also she will be having lots of take from Coca-Cola shares. I think she owns more than I guess 12 13 million shares, maybe 28 millions, around that number. It's a big number she has. So folks, I say it's the karma, which don't leave you anytime, anywhere. Anyways, let's come back to the topic. We have wrapped the whole thing now, and this is the traffic hits to my sites per year basis. You can see for one WordPress or WordPress exceeding 7,000 for 2021, where we have just reached May, which is, you can call it midpoint, and it's exceeding 7,000. So on averaging, I'm hitting almost like 20,000 hits a month now, and I've been reporting this news factors and news for the last 10 years of the philanthropy service, and I'm seeing it happening in and all I want to say now is, because that's how we're going to find minutes dedicated each day at least to your inner self. Research inside for real insights. That's another statement I keep saying every time. If you can't enjoy company of yourself, you can't have others enjoy. So folks, I leave you here with this mesmerizing good meditative musing. I hope you are going to enjoy this. I have tried to find inner solace in this world of chaos, pandemic. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I take your leave. Thanks.